No magic at Chase Stadium last night as our Inter Miami Herons fall victim to the Vancouver Whitecaps in the CONCACAF Champions Cup semifinal round. Leg number 2 was last night, and let's just say things did not go our Herons' way. 5-1 on the aggregate. They lose that 5-1 on the aggregate, and as I said, are knocked out of the CONCACAF Champions Cup. Basically, folks, the Champions League this side of the hemisphere. Folks, welcome on in. West Palm FC. As always, I am Mike Rizzo. We have Elias Bustamante here. We have Damian Perez here. Elias was on site for the game last night. Damian and I were watching vividly from our homes and our apartments, respectively. And boys, I'm not quite Mascherano out like a couple of my friends that I talked to last night, but this was the biggest, let's call a spade a spade. This was the biggest cup you were playing in all year, outside of the Club FIFA World Cup. And listen, I would love to drink the Kool-Aid and the delusion, but Inter Miami, folks, is not winning the Club FIFA World Cup. They could win some games and look good, have some fun, but they're not winning any silverware there. This was the most important competition. I think that Inter Miami had the best team as well. I think you look at the Mexican sides, you look at the American sides. I don't think there is an excuse not to win this tournament. I'll listen to Mascherano out. I'm not there yet personally, but I'll listen to it. That was a joke of a lineup with no Yannick Bright. And listen, is Tadio Allende injured? I guess we'll have to figure it out. But Telasco Segovia, in my opinion, playing out of position. And Marcello Wiggin. And no Ian Frey. So I thought you were behind the 8 ball with the lineup as is. But when you get knocked out, when you're the favorite, when you're the best team, and you get knocked out of a competition like this, you got to deal with the repercussions.
Yeah, 100%. Guys, it's good to see you again. What a night. What a night for Inter Miami, right? And yes, you were talking about those guys. Chelo Wayna, I saw him live. It was a surprise for me not to see Ian Frey starting the game. Same with Yannick Bright. Redondo is not a bad player, but right now he's not in his best. And Tadeo Allende, I think it's more of a confidence for Tadeo Allende. I'm not going to be Mascherano out. I'm not even close to be like that. He's trying to figure it out. He has a team, but I think Damien and I are on the same boat. Like, it's too soon to say Mascherano out.
Yeah, I think it's too soon. I don't think it's time.
But do you understand it?
No, definitely. And I think, like last night was 100%, I would say the primary person to quote-unquote blame for the night that we had was Mascherano.
Mm-hmm.
Because from the start...
2 times in a row, same with Dallas.
Right. From the start, the lineup didn't make sense. Ian Frey coming off of 2 assists, 1 including a nutmeg, made no sense why Chelo was playing. And this is not a knock at Chelo. I mean, Chelo does a serviceable job, but it's nowhere near the dynamic of Ian Frey and what he gives you. And another one was Yannick Bright. Every game Yannick Bright has played, I feel like the defensively
and he came
been more secure.
Dame, he put him on in like the 70th minute.
Made no sense. 13 minutes left.
Game was already over, 83rd, whatever it was, public school math, folks. But at the same time, like, it made no sense to bring on Bright when they did. Segovia, boys, what is wrong with Telasco? Like, for the first 4 fixtures of the year, Segovia was great. He had that brace against the Houston Dynamo. Man, he just has not looked like himself in a lot of these games.
It's also Allende. Allende's another one who had a really good start to the year. Got injured, came back, has never shown that level. But I feel like Inter Miami has the players. If Allende's not ready, if he's not in form, we have Fafa Picot who can play, who has won us a game. So I feel like Mascherano, in a sense, got in his own way last night, and I feel like he'll learn from that, and he'll... it'll be more objective when making the team and starting lineup, I think, 100%. Moving forward.
And especially, for example, with Telasco, I think he's playing, in my mind, also outside of position. I think Telasco thrives playing behind the striker as a number 10. Probably if he plays in a 4-3-3, maybe playing, with Bright, Busquets, and then he plays in that position as a number 8. But other than that, on the wing, I think we're wasting him right there. Allende, he's a good player. After the injury, I think it's a confidence issue because he had plenty of opportunities last night, a lot of them, and he was not able to put him. Why wouldn't you go after the second goal and you put Fafa on, for example?
Right.
54 minute, you still have the game. Put Fafa on, put everything on the grill. Why are you hesitating?
Obando, I feel like Obando could have came in sooner.
Yeah, and that's another thing I talked about with Inter Miami fans last night is Luis, is it time to maybe get a more I guess I got to be careful here. Reliable striker up top. I just don't know if Suarez has the legs.
I think we can start to experiment. Why not? I mean, Suarez has shown goal scoring. It hasn't been polished for him this year, but he's shown that he can create play. I think he has 6, 7 assists this season.
He does, and 3 of them came in one game. But I understand.
We can, but one was last night to Jordi Alba.
Right.
I feel like we can start experimenting, playing both up top, two strikers, having Obando kind of serve as that poacher striker, kind of number 9, whereas Suarez can kind of drop back and kind of create. Messi has been coming off the right, so they won't get in the way of each other.
Obando does more in the air too.
Yeah,
boys,
he's physically very sound.
I gotta say that the 65 minutes that the young kids for Inter Miami played against FC Dallas was better than anything I saw last night. Now I understand they lost that game against FC Dallas. And it's shambolic to give up 3 goals in 25 minutes and to lose the game. But, like, Falcone came off. Like, key pieces of that 65-minute run where you went up 3-1 came off of the pitch.
But we saw last night. Last night, the goals came from that right flank.
Yes.
Cello shouldn't have been on the field, and I feel like it was kind of like a domino effect from there.
And you know what happened with Cello, too? And we were talking about this. Cello, for example, if you see Inter Miami, all the time they go out, or they try to go forward, they go through the left because of Jordi Alba. They know they have that connection. He's very good going that way. But also, Ian Frey gives you that projection.
They can
run.
both,
Yeah, he can move upwards. Cello, for example, it was frustrating because sometimes he got the ball, he had that pass to someone in the middle or maybe Allende. He played back.
You can tell just from watching him play, you can tell he's got that nerve, the deer in headlights when he gets into the offensive third.
It's not his game.
No,
it's not as natural as what Ian Frey gives you. And I feel like with the dynamic that Inter Miami has, the style of play that they want to play, which is the right and left back joining attack, you have to have a player who can play that. And Cello, frankly, he's great defensively, but when it comes to offensively, I don't think he's got it.
He can play. He's not as Ian Frey. Yes.
And we've seen throughout almost the whole year, boys, Jordi Alba joined the attack and then have that other fullback and the 2 center backs play 3 at the back until Jordi comes back. Listen, if they want to play more of an attacking brand, I agree. Ian Frey is your guy. But if you want to run that 3 in the back and have Jordi Alba go forward, you're going to need that guy to stay back. And listen, it puts a lot
that's where Yannick Bright comes in.
And
that's when Yannick Bright comes in. And that's when Ian Frey comes in.
But boys, also, you said, that right where Cello was, that right flank was where you were getting killed. It's a lot of pressure.
The whole game came from that right flank.
And when you play 3 at the back like that, that's a lot of pressure.
Yes.
To hold down that flank by, kind of by your lonesome.
Yeah, no, 100%. And also in the first half, you can see, you can tell, for example, there was a hole between Maxi Falcone and Cello.
Yes.
And it repeated several times in the first half. Jordi Alba was very, very mad at Cello because he was leaving that space, in that gap between Maxi.
Positioning wasn't there.
Yes, 100%. So as you were saying, Jordi Alba, as soon as he goes up the flank, it's obvious. No Allen occupies that position. Maxi Falcone moves into the middle a little bit more, and then Frey moves again into the middle, and then we have that back 3.
Because he's a former center back, so he knows how to play that role.
He knows how to play that role. So you have that back 3. Cello doesn't know how to do it. Also,
one of the hardest part when it comes to defending as a center back is who you have behind you.
Exactly.
And that's what happened a lot with Cello yesterday.
They got caught out, and it's happened before too. This isn't the first instance. It's happened when Cello has been out there. It's happened to Maxi Falcone a couple of times. Who was it? Boys? Atlanta United striker. Help me out from Middlesbrough.
Lateta?
Yeah. No. Yeah. Lati Lat. Yeah. I mean, when you play a guy like that in the air, he's going to get behind you sometimes. So, I go back to that game where Falcone got caught out a little bit, but I feel like when Inter Miami plays aerial teams, that's kind of what happens sometimes.
Yeah, but Falcone has been solid, to be honest.
Oh, God. I mean, he was the only... Listen, solid. You took Falcone...
It all fell apart.
You took Falcone off against FC Dallas, all hell broke loose.
Redondo the same. Redondo, I think, is a hit or miss. He could have 2
all right.
games.
I told Damien this. I told Damien this. I think I Pink Smoke 2 weeks ago. I want to ask you this. Redondo's the malarkey right now. It's like whenever that kid is in the starting 11, it just seems like first off, I can't fathom why Yannick Bright isn't a staple in this lineup. I don't know why
every game. Unless he's injured, every game.
I understand that Redondo is a solid player, but it seems like when he gets the ball at his feet or whatever during the flow of the game, it just goes awry. And you asked, when Cello played it to the middle, he's playing it to Redondo on that right side.
I think the case with Redondo is he's playing a bit out of position. I don't think he's a 5. I think he's more of a box-to-box 8. So where you have a Yannick Bright who He's more of a calm player. He's very similar to what Sergio Busquets gives you. He lays back. He likes to play that transition game. Whereas Redondo, he likes to dribble. He likes to get up and attack. He likes to get into those third three quarters of the field. Whereas Yannick Bright, he can do everything from sitting back. And that's something that where they differentiate. I would like to see Redondo more as an 8 rather than a 5.
Fair enough.
So what if you say, like, for example, if we play a 4-3-3, for example?
But it's tough because then who are you taking out? You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Because you bring up Redondo, you got
You're not going to
Yannick
bring
Bright.
out Busquets. You're not going to take out Busquets.
I think Yannick Bright, Busquets are that double 5. And then I don't know, Segovia. I think Segovia can play that.
Segovia played in the
number
8
8
position in a 4-3-3.
Or even Redondo play that 8 role.
Let's all agree that Segovia does not belong out onto the flank.
No, I think he gives you more in the middle.
Yeah.
I think
he's
he
a
gives
lot
you
better.
more in the middle.
Ever since Mascherano started experimenting with him out on the wing, I think his play
he's
has
good
gone
at
down
recovery.
tremendously.
We even saw it last
Right.
night. He made a few plays where he recovered the ball, so he likes to kind of get down and dirty, and there's nowhere best to do it than in the middle.
Well, let me ask you guys this. With being out of CONCACAF Champions Cup, but basically the Champions League on this side of the hemisphere, where's the team at this point? How devastated is Messi? How devastated is the club?
Well, Messi, obviously, he's mad. Obviously. I wouldn't concentrate that much on the World Cup, on the Club World Cup. They asked that to Mascherano last night. He said, like, hey, my first thought is the game on Saturday. We're a month away from the Club World Cup. That's not my goal right now. So I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see how Inter Miami goes this Saturday. I think he's going to experiment. I think he's going to move the team a lot. And let's be honest, MLS allows you to lose games. That's the truth. You can lose games. And I think it's the right time for Mascherano to start experimenting, especially in that defense with Ian Frey, with Chelo in the middle. Because on the top, who do we have? We have Messi, we have Suarez. Maybe try that double striker, double 9, but at the same time, experiment.
We saw it last year with Campana.
We saw it last night for a few minutes, and it worked because Suarez got into more attacking positions, and we saw Wando dropping a little bit more. So, experiment. You have the team.
To answer your question, I think this makes the MLS just that much more important. Not that it wasn't before, but now it adds a little bit of pressure, Whereas if we kind of got the pressure of getting the first trophy out of the way, I feel like we would have played a lot looser throughout the season.
How important are these other cups compared to the MLS?
I would put. I don't think the MLS. I mean, I think MLS is
so. What is
eggs
it?
in all
You got the Hunts. You got the Hunts
Leagues Cup.
Yeah.
You got
which we already won last year.
Okay, so you got that. Been there, done that. You got obviously the Club FIFA World Cup.
Yep.
Am I missing one here?
Technically, the Supporters Shield.
Well, you won that.
Hand.
You won that last year.
Yeah,
winning 73 points.
And to that point, I don't think
that's important. And number one,
health is more important.
So this season has turned into the MLS playoffs. Full go.
The MLS is a whole goal for the team. The other cups, obviously, you want to win them. Who doesn't want to?
This one hurts. That's why I keep.
This one hurts. But these are bonus cups for Inter Miami because they need to win the MLS.
I agree with seriously. That. I think if Inter Miami wins the MLS, all is forgotten.
Yes.
I think I agree with you guys, but as far as a world, let's get the world perspective.
This had more
here.
weight.
It did with the Mexican teams. I know it's just really boys the MLS and the Liga MX teams,
and it's also something that didn't linger. You could have got it out of the way now,
right? Yep. And listen, fair play to Vancouver if they're able to win it. And I know they're technically a Canadian team playing in the MLS. Neither here nor there. They're an MLS team. But I think that the Liga MX teams that are household names with the CONCACAF Gold Cup, I think they're laughing. The fact that a super team like Inter Miami was unable to do it. And that's why I'm willing to listen to today.
Monterrey, you can say they kind of built their team to win CONCACAF Champions. They're pretty stacked, and they paid some heavy wages to get those players
historically they have, right? Like I know Inter Miami, that's a historic club. Inter Miami, nonetheless, more of a newer club. I just think this holds more world weight, and other teams around the world are kind of laughing at Inter Miami like, you can't even win that. That's the sense I'm getting. That's the sense I've heard from fans and footballer fans around the world is that, how the hell are you not winning this cup? And that's why people are complaining about the manager.
To that point, it doesn't help that we were saying that once those Mexican teams went down, it's kind of like the path opened up.
And exactly, and to lose to Vancouver. Like and listen, let's give Vancouver their flowers. They beat Inter Miami like a drum.
You could say it. They were the better team in those two games.
I think they've been the better team.
Boys,
5-1.
I have a saying for playoff, like belt to ass. Honest to God,
that's what it was.
Really
5-1.
5-1.
1 goal in 2 games.
And like, listen, the big four. I know they're older, and Alba, Busquets, Messi, and Suarez. They don't have the legs anymore. But God, you got to find. I'm sorry, boys. You got to find a way to win this tournament. I'm very upset that Inter Miami is out of this.
Yeah,
I think it's a bad look all around. And like you said, you started looking forward after a couple of those Mexican teams went out. You forgot to pay attention what's in front of us.
Yeah, but I think Inter Miami lost against, for me, who's going to be the champion of the CONCACAF. I think they're going to win.
What's the other matchup? I mean,
Tigres.
Cruz Azul and Tigres, they play tonight.
Yeah.
And I think the final is going to be Vancouver, obviously. Vancouver, Cruz Azul. I think that's going to be the final.
I wasn't even worried about the other side of the bracket. I'll be honest with you. Like, my sole focus was just the confidence I had in Inter Miami. Yeah, it didn't matter who was in front.
Vancouver were so solid.
They were
very
and they showed
solid,
that in the first game.
Very well coached team. And I was listening to both Jesper Sorensen, who's the coach for Vancouver. Solid coach. His ideas. It's a very, very well-drilled team. Mm-hmm.
So 5-1, losing on the aggregate to Vancouver, out in CONCACAF Champions Cup play. I'm not Mascherano out, for the record. I know people that are. People were texting me last night. Elias isn't there either. Damian Perez isn't there either. We're not quite Mascherano out, but this certainly is a big hit to the Inter Miami season this year. Still have the MLS and everything right out in front of them. Now, boys, let's transition to a little around the world because there's plenty to talk about with Elias's Arsenal. Well, Arsenal yesterday, not the fixture, not the, let's put it
2 days ago.
Sorry, not the, let's put it this way, Elias, not the result you were looking for.
No, not at all. What I'm telling you this is a 1-0. It's a very open game. Still, it's a very open game. And the issue with that is, yes, PSG has a brilliant midfield. Awesome. But Arsenal was missing balance. And that balance was Thomas Partey. Thomas Partey is going to be in the game next week. And I think Arsenal are going to go all in on the next game with the team. I think we're going to see a very, very similar game from Arsenal to the ones we saw against Real Madrid. All in, going, trying to be physical, dominate the game. It's going to be a very interesting game next week.
Now, to be fair to Arsenal, Damian, their back line, they have one starter in Saliba that consistently plays. Now, Kiwior, Luis Scully, Timber, like, these guys wouldn't normally start if they're fully fit, if the team is fully fit. I give Arsenal a lot of credit. I give them a lot of credit for going deep in this tournament with the injuries that they have. Let's remember they didn't have Bukayo Saka for a couple of months, too.
I disagree with you.
Now, Martinelli was shocking a couple of days. We could agree that Martinelli was shocking.
In a good or bad way?
In a bad way.
Oh,
Sorry,
yeah,
when I say shocking, it's bad. He was shocking in the game. And I think that position, left wing and striker, I think that's a position that Arteta is going to want to upgrade. Now, their back line's great when healthy. I'm not going to sit here and complain about the back line because when healthy, they're good. Declan Rice is a great player. Odegaard, who played like crap.
He hasn't had a good season at all.
No. He hasn't, but he's a good player that you could count on. Like, looking at this Arsenal team, they need a striker, and they probably need a left wing player. And to Elias's point,
and number 5.
This isn't over. This isn't over. You lost 1-0. It's not the result that you wanted, but we saw Arsenal go in to Real Madrid on their home field and be able to score goals and be able to create offense.
And I'm telling you, so 1-0. I'm gonna probably translate this in a bad way. Damien, please correct me. It's 1-0 is a very, for this game, it's a very fake result. It's a 1-0. What I mean by fake is it could be 2-1 for 1, or Arsenal had chances 1-1.
And it makes it weird because if you're PSG, you got the 1-0 lead. What do you do going back home?
Right.
You play to hold the lead, or
no?
You play 0-0.
You do that, you lose.
Yeah, I agree.
But if you're PSG and you saw the game, you were like, okay,
but it's
these guys with not a complete 11. They almost tied with us 1-1, and they had chances to imagine with the whole team.
Yeah, I mean Martinelli, the chance. I can't remember off the top of my head. It floated over to the right side. He had a chance to get on the end of it. It was
I don't
terrible.
think he had.
Well, to his credit, Donnarumma had a great game too.
Yes, Donnarumma showed again why he's the best goalkeeper in the world.
Gianluigi, my fellow Italian in arms and brother, one of my favorite goalkeepers on the planet. I love Donnarumma.
A little bit overrated, though.
No, dude. When it comes to penalties, absolutely not. He is the best goalkeeper against penalties.
And he's only 26.
You will not, boys, I will not accept Donnarumma slander. If you want to talk about within the ebbs and flows of a game, fine. If I'm going to penalties, there's only one goalkeeper I want in the world, and that is Gianluigi Donnarumma.
There's a big factor for this second game in France. It's the health of Dembele. He left the game injured.
And that's where I want to go next because, first off, Dembele career year. Agreed?
Yes.
Dembele career year. I think a couple of people would maybe want him to go for Ballon d'Or, but I think that it's Rafinha's award personally. But Dembele certainly a player who is playing at the top of his caliber right now. And I mean, Kvaratskhelia getting the assist too, a transfer that came on in from Napoli,
what
a
steal.
solid player.
Very good.
How about and listen, I'm not trying to put the cart before the horse, as they say. Can you imagine if PSG wins the Champions League and the first year Kylian Mbappe leaves the club?
We talked about that a few weeks ago.
Can you imagine the backlash that it would be for Kylian Mbappe and his camp if basically the same team, Neves is there, Kvaratskhelia is there, obviously, but there are new pieces on the team.
That's his replacement.
But
Yes.
Boys, a lot of the same is on that team.
I got a question for you. Now that you say that. So Mbappe makes your team better or worse?
I'll never think that he makes the team worse, personally.
I think there's an argument, though. I think there's an argument
Look at
because
PSG. Look at PSG out there playing.
it's more of off the field and in the locker room and ego. I think that's where it comes into play.
Well,
with
the
Mbappe.
Real Madrid, to think, and shame on me maybe for this. My friends tried explaining this to me, before this season, and I guess shame on me for thinking that Mbappe could just slide into Real Madrid and they win trophies. Like, there's a lot of egos in play. There's the human factor to it. I'm not going to sit here and say a team is worse off with Kylian Mbappe on the team. I think that'd be foolish. Let's remember that he's won the World Cup when under the age of 25. He has a World Cup.
Was 18, yeah.
And all right, I'm not going to the Argentina. It was fixed for Lionel Messi card here, okay? But certainly France had a claim to the last World Cup that was played as well. So I'm not going to sit here and say Kylian Mbappe is toxic for a team, but it is a story, and it is. If I'm gonna and to bring things full circle too, I'll listen to the Mascherano out stuff. I'm not there yet for Inter Miami, but I will listen to this argument. I just refuse.
I think
to
next year
it.
will be very telling.
Yes.
Next year will be very telling for what
Well,
we're going to see
Vinicius
with.
won't be on the team. He'll be with Manchester United. Elias is about to walk out of the room. Yeah, but there are rumors circling. Obviously,
I saw one
trolling.
today that Rodrigo came out and said that he doesn't feel appreciated by Real Madrid.
Obviously, boys, I'm doing a bit of trolling here, but there have been rumors Vinicius being linked to the Prem, and I think one of the three will be gone, of Rodrigo,
Oh my God.
Mbappe,
Rodrigo's
and
going out.
Vinicius.
It's
At
Rodrigo.
the Prem, I mean, I think that's where he would end up. But I mean, if Vinicius didn't have the thick skin to play in Spain, you think he'll be able to play in the Prem?
Yeah,
No,
dude.
Rodrigo to Arsenal. I'm calling it right now.
They won't pay.
Ultimately,
they
they
won't
won't
pay.
pay.
Rodrigo
They won't
to
pay.
Arsenal in the left wing. Oh, yes.
How much is that fee going to be? 90 million? They're going to give up 90 million pounds?
Is it the Rodrigo
How much
or
was
is it the
Declan
Nico
Rice?
Williams?
Hold on. How much was Declan?
120?
One.
Was
100.
it that much?
I think it was 3
Why
digits.
did I think it was like 70?
No, it was.
Um,
And it's a
lot.
bargain. 100 for
What do you
one
think?
leg.
What do you think, Rodrigo? If Declan? All right, so let's put things in perspective. I was way off it, mate. I apologize. If Declan Rice is 120, what's Rodrigo going to be? $150?
No.
They're gonna sell him.
No, I don't think he had
80.
the season to be able
80?
to target. I think around that 80, 70
80,
mark.
80
Yeah.
between 60 and 80.
And then obviously these things will come more to fruition once
He's
we
the
hear
fourth
from
best
reporters.
player on. You can argue if you're on the other side negotiating. He's the
Like
fourth option.
Romano and Ornstein are the guys to look at when it comes to this talk. But at the same time, like I don't see Arsenal getting Rodrigo, but
Marca, Marca is a newspaper from Spain that basically follows Real Madrid. They're saying Rodrigo wants to leave this summer.
yeah,
I think it
and
makes sense.
I think a lot
It
of
makes
players
sense.
too. I don't think he's going to be the only player that wants out of there. I could even see Rudiger wanting out.
And to add to that, I can see a player like Trent Alexander
TAA.
having second thoughts and potentially staying. The way the season ended for Liverpool, I think there was a lot of high spirits. You saw his emotion after winning that Premier League. I think there's a chance that he could stay with Liverpool as well.
Yeah, and that was certainly electric atmosphere at Anfield.
How do you leave that? How do you, as a player who's came up through the whole development system, did the
English,
did the whole. I think he's even a scout to even add to that. I mean, he's the whole package for a Liverpool player. How do you leave the best? I think the best fans in the world.
and obviously that's coming from a Liverpool fan. There's something to be said about wanting to do something new. Like to your point, Dame, like he's He's a Scouse. He's lived there forever. He's played for the club. Like, maybe he wants to do the next chapter of his life, and I certainly can't blame him.
This guy could be the man.
But this
Liverpool.
guys, let's not get it twisted.
The next Stevie G.
Yeah, this is him.
For the expectations that Real Madrid had this year, it certainly was a down year. All right, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. It's probably not going to end up in any silverware at this point. But this is still Real Madrid we're talking about. It's still a massive club, and it's still a club that players are going to want to go to and going to want to play. And let's not forget they had the likes of Arda Güler just in an incubator waiting to just blow up on the scene. Like, they have talent everywhere. Endrick. Endrick's going to get his turn sooner rather than later.
A little overrated, too.
But they're not.
Come on, he's like 19.
The problem with them is, when will they get the opportunity? Because they don't fit the timeline of Bellingham and Mbappe, because what's their age? 20, 26, 25, Bellingham?
I think Endrick is a teenager, no?
But who's he going to bench? Vinicius,
well, you put
24, 25.
Apparently we're the Real.
It's not like Mbappe or Vinicius are like on their way out.
You guys just got done telling me Vinicius is gone and Rodrigo's going to Arsenal. What is it? Which one is it?
Vinicius not going out. Who said Vinicius is going? They're not going. One of the best stars in the world.
You guys, hang on. For numerous shows, you guys have been saying
was the one that said it.
Out of Real
He said
Madrid.
Rodrigo. In his defense, he said Rodrigo. I said Vinicius.
I said Rodrigo, but I was also like on the idea like Vinicius might leave. I don't see him leaving. He might.
I honestly do. I'm
going to be honest. I thought it'd be able to work out. I do not see him and Kylian Mbappe able to play on the same team.
But
I don't see
Arda Güler wouldn't be the replacement for Vinicius.
No, but my point is that there's still quality players on the roster. There's still hope at the end of the tunnel.
Oh, yeah,
just because this year went awry, you could get rid of Rodrigo or whoever and fill it out from there. You can get a midfielder.
I don't think Real Madrid has quality on the bench, for example. I don't see it. The quality you can tell is Arda Güler, cool, perfect. You have Endrick, perfect. Brahim Diaz.
They're not guaranteed.
Well, they need a center back and a fullback. They probably need an extra center back, and they probably need an extra fullback.
If I'm Madrid, I'm not worried about what I got in the locker room. I'm worried about what's going on in Barcelona, because that team, I mean, I know I'm a Barcelona fan. That's the team I support. But, like, objectively speaking, when you watch this Barcelona team, it seems like they go down 2-0, it's no problem.
You guys listen, I think Lamine Yamal is great. I think he's one of the next big things in soccer. Can we chill out a little bit?
No.
Can we chill out a little bit? Honest to God.
Mike, wouldn't you want him in your team right now? Wouldn't you want Lamine Yamal at United right now?
Of course. But like Erling Haaland, like I understand.
Inzaghi, when have you seen a coach, since Messi, since Ronaldo, since Cristiano Ronaldo, when have you seen a coach come out and absolutely just say, I haven't seen a player like this. I was sending 3 players to defend him, and it didn't matter. Yeah. It's been 50 years since he saw a player of that talent. When have you seen a coach like Inzaghi come out and make those claims?
Fair enough.
This kid is different. He's one of one, and in my opinion, he should be the favorite to win the Ballon d'Or.
Elias?
Especially if they win Champions League.
Not this year. He'll get his time. It's not this year.
And if it's not Lamine Yamal, it's Rafinha.
Listen, I think it's no doubt Rafinha. Yes. Look at the numbers Rafinha has put up this year.
If he wins the Champions League, it's Dembélé.
I think there's an argument
I think Rafinha and Dembélé this year, statistically, and what they bring to the club, and we could sit here and talk about how great Lamine is going to be through the next 15 years. I understand that. But I think this year, Dembélé and Rafinha is probably the correct answer for the award.
I mean, first player since Lionel Messi to reach 20 goals and assists in Champions League is Rafinha for Barcelona.
Yeah, that's why, it's his award. It's Dembele's award. That's where I would probably go on that. But let's, all right, Yamal's great. We understand.
So you think he's overrated?
It's not that I think he's overrated. I'm kind of just sick of hearing it. We know. I knew he was great the moment he stepped up in the Euros.
When he was playing
when he was 16 years old. Whether he wins, I understand. This is something we already know.
I think whether he wins Ballon d'Or or not, from what we see on the field and the impact, he's the best player in the world for me.
I'll tell you.
It's a kid. 17 years old.
He's reviving an extinct art.
49 games, 15 goals, 20 assists, and you're 17.
100 appearances already for Barcelona.
Boys, he's no Anthony. We could agree on that. He's no Anthony. Now, doing a bit of trolling here today. Let's talk to what's coming up later on, actually, in about a few moments here. You guys get to see my before the match kind of thoughts with Manchester United and Athletic. Athletic is going to be the home team in the first leg. Like I said, we're recording this right now, and we're a couple of minutes away here from it kicking off. Boys, this is where it all falls apart. This is where the wheels come apart. United can't. unless they're playing against 10 men, United cannot compete against a top 10 team within the Premier League. If Athletic was in the Premier League, they're at least a top 8, top 7 team in my eyes. This might be 3-0 today.
I think all eggs were in one basket for Man U.
Yeah.
All eggs are in one basket, but what about the others? So the other games, the Prem games just don't matter? The players aren't getting up for those fixtures? They don't care?
Once you knew you weren't getting relegated, I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but I think there's a different, mentality going into it.
That's a horrible mentality to have.
But it's the reality.
It's
the reality.
To just punt the Premier League, the best league in the world, not care about the fixtures that happen there, get absolutely embarrassed week in and week out.
But how else would you
go 0-2 against Wolves, go 0-2 against Crystal Palace? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You don't have to play good in your league. It doesn't matter.
You're not going to win anything in the Premier League right now.
Doesn't matter.
You should put everything you have right now on the Europa League, because if you win it, you're going to play Champions League next year. You're going to get the money you need. And you're going to say, oh, no, let's concentrate in the Premier League.
If you win Europa League, doesn't that just give you Europa League right back?
Mike, I get what you're saying, but how else would you compare, or how else would you explain going 0-2 to Wolves, going 0-2 to Crystal Palace, but in the same breath being the only undefeated team in Europa
exactly.
and
you haven't
European
played
play?
Anybody.
But you play in the
Who
Europa
have
League.
you played? A farmer team?
But
Leon?
Wolves is, I mean,
who almost
Wolves
kicked
is,
you out?
Leon? Yeah, they stink. That's my point.
Because you're a farmer team right now. That's what happens.
And it's unacceptable.
But you can't be complaining about that.
We're a farmer team, and it's unacceptable.
If you win,
and Ruben Amorim has made things worse.
But if you win the Europa League, you play in Champions League next year.
You got the bid of champions. You got the bid of champions.
You play in Champions
League. If you win your
so this is a right move. That's a right move.
This team, why? And obviously, no United fan in their right mind would ever want to tell you, hey, we don't want to play in Champions League. It gives you money for your club. I understand the perks of playing in Champions League. This team doesn't deserve Champions League. I could argue this team needs to focus on playing their 35-game Prem schedule and getting better that way. This team does not deserve Champions League play next year. I think we could all agree on that.
I think
they don't, but it's free 3 points next year.
I mean, I really think it'll be a completely different season for Man United next year.
Next year?
I really
Based off of what?
Just based off what I've seen in Europa. I mean, the games that they've played in Europa, this is two different teams. You got the Man United who plays European competition, and you got the United that plays Premier League soccer.
But you guys understand my frustrations in that you can't compete in the greatest league in the world. You can't even come close of sniffing of beating a top 10 team right now within said league. You have better quality than probably 5 of those top 10 teams, and you still can't win. It's ridiculous. I don't, and I understand, hey, the moment we found out that we weren't getting relegated, it was all about Europa. Fine, whatever, fair enough. That doesn't mean I have to like it. This Amorim, I'm worried he can't coach at the English level. I'm worried he cannot coach against an English team. Those managers run circles around the guy.
Imagine if Mike was a GM.
Wow, ruthless.
The leash would be just
so tight. Yeah. Oh my God.
If I was running United, Amorim wouldn't be the coach until the year after.
I agree.
Ruud Van Nistelrooy would still be coaching this team right now.
And that's what he wanted. That's what
Van Nistelrooy would still. But people go, oh well, what happens if Van Nistelrooy has success? Whatever. You still kick him out, and you still bring in the new guy. You still bring in a new gaffer.
We've seen other teams do that. This wouldn't be the first.
It's just frustrated, boys. You understand why I'm frustrated. The team who is tied now, fair play to Liverpool. Manchester United and Liverpool are tied for the most English championships at the top level.
Yes.
And we can't even. Where are we? Scroll down FC. 16th, 15th on the table. It's embarrassing. And quite frankly, I'm sick of it. I'll take finishing 8th on the table and looking respectable.
What's the
and
difference?
6th and 7th and 5th on the table and looking respectable. And I think you guys forget there have been plenty of top 4 finishes for United within the last 5 years as well.
You guys might have tied on the 2020.
This is the first year where things just completely went off of the rails.
Yeah.
So
you guys
this is the worst team out of all those teams.
I won't argue that. I won't argue that. It might be the worst team, but if Erik ten Hag was still the manager, I still think you'd be 8th or 7th on the table.
I don't
regardless.
Think so. I think the trajectory it was getting very toxic.
Yeah, but it doesn't even matter if you guys are tied at 20 titles. Liverpool is bigger than United. That's a fact. That's a fact.
I mean, if you look at the way everything is nowadays structured,
it's a fact. No. Historically, Liverpool are bigger right now. Historically, and now
I completely disagree. But it's fine.
And that's fine.
Let's forget Liverpool went 40 years without winning the league. And then they won it during COVID, fair play to them. And they recently won it now, fair play to them. But are you forgetting about
they also
Sir
got a
Alex?
Champions League.
You're going to say that to me when we had Sir Alex Ferguson the greatest soccer coach in the history of the game, I'm not listening to that. Let's it's a perfect time to wrap it up right now. Athletic Club and Man United, we'll get my thoughts on what happens during that fixture next week. Very miserable United fan right now. I do not expect that to be close with Athletic Club having the quality that they do. But, boys, great episode. I'm not Mascherano out yet. You guys aren't either. If you are Mascherano out, let's see what happens in the MLS. Let's let this season play out. Thank you, everyone, for listening to West Palm FC. Give us a subscribe. Turn those notifications on. We'll catch up with you guys next week.